Very looking forward to it. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Ogerta Elezaj and I'm a lecturer in Tirana University. The microphone? Now it's better? Okay. So I'm Ogerta Elezaj and I'm a lecturer in Tirana University, and meanwhile I'm collaborating with the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in a project, let's say. We have developed and we are in the phase of evaluating a SMONT called SMONT, which is an ontology-based framework for crime solving using social media. And this is what I'm going to present here. We all know the importance and the growing aspect of social media in our daily life. The use of online social networks has increased rapidly through all layers of society. And here I put some facts about the importance and the increased use of social networks. The number of worldwide users is estimated to be around 3 billion by 2020, which means that it will be a third of entire population. And as a main social network, Facebook has reported to have around 2 billion of monthly active users worldwide. People share in these networks a lot of content and a lot of their daily aspects, but what happens when it comes to the aspect of the law enforcement agency in Europe or even worldwide? The data coming from the social network should be treated as a new source of intelligence for them. And people share the information in these kind of networks, depending on the networks with different level of security. The information can be made available, publicly available, or the information can also be shared in networks of other users where they are defined as visitors, or they are defined as followers or friends. But the legal enforcement agency can use this information for investigation purposes and to detect and to prevent crime in time. Initial efforts of the legal enforcement agency is done on the dissemination. They use this kind of networks for the dissemination purpose of information. Now they have started to solve and prevent crime through gathering this data, processing this data to find out useful information and to take measurement and actions in preventing crimes. But how they do it? They do it via analyzing the trace of digital evidence during their investigation activities, particularly analyzing the content that people share in these social networks, and mostly of them that they use now is Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. But the focus of our focus to develop this kind of framework is because they face many challenges during this data processing. Even in 2015, the US President Task Force highlighted the emergency need of the legal enforcement agency to adopt new technologies and to keep up with the intelligence system for the reason to sweep through massive amounts of raw social media data. So as I mentioned, it means that the legal enforcement agencies should keep in mind that the information coming from these networks is a new source of intelligence for their daily work. What is a digital crime evidence? Digital crime evidence is the information stored or transmitted in binary form that may be reliable and can be used in a court as a proof. It contains for sure digital data, including profile pages and also biometric data such as pictures, fingerprints. It includes a chat transcript, public messages, private email, digital photo or video, or all the information that we share in these platforms. But they should contain the digital evidence to be used as a proof in the court. They should contain reliable information, which means that when we deal with digital crime evidence, we face two main challenges. One is the computational time and the authenticity. quickly. With computational time, it means that as the information coming is a huge information and it comes in different formats and from different data sources, it means that we should have in place some system to process, to automatically process this unstructured data that is coming from social networks. And when it comes to authenticity, it means that as they has to be used as a proof in the court, we should keep trace of their chain, which means that we should be aware of the fact that they should not be altered or changed during the process, which means from the data collection, data processing, data storing, till we present them as a proof in the court. Our framework that we are developing together with the Norwegian University is called SMONT, which is a framework to detect and to prevent crime through the use of social media and using digital evidence. And this will be used from legal enforcement agency in their daily activities to find different type of crimes. The two major benefits and why we use the ontology in this system is, the first one is that using the ontology we can shape the structure of the data, because the data that we have is unstructured, and shaping the data means that we'll use a common language for that, and this is possible using the ontology technology. And the second one, it will be that it will be a system that will have in place an efficient mechanism to infer knowledge through inference rules, or what we call in ontology, which is called as a reasoning, that I'll explain it later. The SMONT is developed with using Protege, and there exist different forensic ontologies, but they deal mostly with cyber crimes, and they do not include ordinary crimes. That means that in our solution we have included both type of crimes, and I'll explain when I'll do a graphical presentation of the ontology. And till now, let's say there is not an unified ontology system that has developed to deal with the digital intelligent data gathering, the digital evidence classification by different type of crimes, and the elaboration of data coming from online social networks. This framework can answer to different questions, and I have mentioned a list of them, what we can use it for. Which social network is the person registers? Do these different social network profiles belong to the same person? These are some questions that the legal enforcement or even the policy officer, let's say, they deal every day. Who are the people that checked in a hotel plaza around 10 p.m.? Who are the people captured at a photo published in Facebook? With whom did the person communicate before and after the crime? And so many questions that they face daily. This is a graphical representation of our ontology, in which we can see a lot of classes, object properties, and instances that are the elements of an ontology, but from the figure we cannot understand how it is organized. So I will demonstrate now the top hierarchy classes of the ontology. The three main classes are crimes, persons, and crimes case solving. The crime class it's a class that includes the category of crimes defined by law. Defining this category of crimes sometimes is not so easy, because it has even a national context. It means that cybercrime is known as cybercrime in mostly of the countries, but there are some different type of crimes that they have different definition in different countries, so it's not so easy to define all the categories of crimes. As you can see, under the category of crime, we have the crime archive and classical crime archive and crime categories. In crime archive, we include the instances of solved crimes of the past, and in the crime category, we have defined all the crimes into main categories: cybercrime and classical crime. The other one class is the person class, which include information about the persons. And in the person, we have criminal profile. This is where we store the data, because all the legal enforcement agencies, they have their criminal profiles, criminal data in their database. So this is not data coming from the social network that we are gathering and manipulating, but this is the data that the legal enforcement agency, they have themselves. The other one is professional profile and social profile data. And we have also the class of crime case solving. This includes all the instances that will be put light on an unsolved crime case. Under that, you see the digital evidence, which means that here we have all the instances that we have collected as digital evidence. After that, we have evidence for court, because not all the digital evidence that we produce or we collect, they can be used as a proof in the court. So only a part of them can be used as a proof in the court. And we have also potential suspect, in which we include all the profile of the person that they are potential for this agency, and they have to follow and to keep trace of their activities in these social networks. We have created and developed the ontology, but we are in the phase of testing and evaluating this solution. But we face some challenges, and it's not so easy, because we know that we are speaking here about private data, confidentiality of the data. It's not easy to deal with this kind of issue. The data published in online social networks are property of the company, of the network, let's say, and police officers can obtain such data under regulated legal process, so they have to make some requests, they have to wait back for the answers and things like that. Because of lower confidentiality issue, for the moment we cannot make the use of real data to test our solution. But in this situation, to show the effectiveness of our solution, we included a set of data instances using some use cases scenario just for testing purposes and evaluating. But we are collaborating with the cyber security unit in the police department in Albania, and also we are in collaboration with some institutions in Norwegian, in Norway, that they will help us to start on and to continue our work with evaluating the solution with real data. Just to understand what we can get out from this framework, I used 3 different use cases. First one is on-site crime. What we can find out, it's a person who have checked in, first query, who have checked in specific place or places around where it had happened a crime. And the query, if we run this query, we'll output the person, for example, John Smith and John Doe, because both has been at Plaza Hotel at that time where the crime happened. Person who check in place and have friends, know or have collaborated with past criminal records, and this is the data that the law enforcement agency itself they have. And the query will output a person, John Doe, because he has been at that place at the time when the crime happened, but also he knows a person or he has a friend with previous criminal records. This was for the on-site crime. Another scenario that we tested, it was for the online crime. For example, the list of persons that sent a number of messages over a specific threshold to a victim, and we use here more than 100 messages sent to the victim, or it cannot be only messages. We can run this kind of queries, for example, friend request sent to this person and things like that we can use for discovering and investigating crime. The third one is crime prevention, and person that actively follow, make comments and like to suspect pages, or for example we can use it to trace the person that are active in some pages that they are used for terrorism or things like that illegal issue, let's say. But this is querying information of the facts that we have in the ontology based on the data that we have gathered. Another important aspect is the reasoning part. The data present in the ontology represent facts, but these facts can be used and can be elaborated to define new ones, and this is the reasoning mechanism. What that means, I took an example here. If person X knows the person Y and person Y knows person Z, we then probably can come out with a rule that the person X knows the person Z as well. This is the reasoning. So it means that based on the data, based on the facts that we have in our ontology, we can define new facts and new rules. Or for example, transaction above a specified rate or transfer to a political or to a political close relation will have higher chance checking priorities. So it means that this is the part of reasoning from our solution. Regarding, as I mentioned, we are in the phase of elaborating and working more with real data, but still we do not have a real data set to test the solution. This framework is intended even to push the scientific discourse further by opening new perspective for future research in the ways of how social media that they infect our daily life can be used by legal enforcement agencies. The social media messages generated with a certain amount of platform-specific metadata and has to be encoded in natural language text, making the use of ontology very crucial, and it is possible to benefit from the ontology because for intelligent gathering, for reasoning over the data, smarter search and comparison, open data publication purposes, and for the overall management for the crime solving and prevention processes. But as I mentioned, the work has to continue on. We need to work on in this framework with the information acquisition from a technical point of view with a real data set, and we have to be focused with the information processing because till now we have processed in our ontology textual part of the data coming from social network, but mostly of the data is not coming in textual part, but is multimedial data, which means that we have image, videos to be processed to get the information, the biometrics data also. And we need to make deeper analysis because the topics here about using social media in preventing and detecting crime has a wide range of legal, ethical, and social issues to be addressed and to be further discussed. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ogerta. Very interesting project that you're working on. So, questions from the audience?
Yes.
Way in the back, Glenn.
Thank you. On my Facebook, every day, I get 2 false profiles, minimum, trying to get into my Facebook. They are obviously false profiles because this week, one of the pictures on one of the profiles was actually a friend of mine. So that didn't help the organization or the business that's actually doing this. Now, I don't know why they're coming on my profile, but I'm assuming that the aim is to make the profile sufficiently strong that they can use it with other people. I notice from some of the profiles coming on that there is a certain particular type of people, especially men, who will tick and agree to accept the profile. Politicians are typical. So politicians everywhere will accept every profile just to get their numbers up. Now, these profiles are coming on. I am reporting them to Facebook every single day, at least 2, and time after time, Facebook says, this profile does not contravene our policy, even though it is clearly false and clearly there for a criminal intent. It can not be there for anything else. What are your thoughts on that, especially on the Facebook usage?
Yeah. So even Facebook, they try to help and to keep the trace of what happens and based on the reports that people report. But sometimes, as you mentioned, they reply to you back that this is not a suspected profile. They see it as a true profile, and they do not delete it, let's say, or they do not take any actions for that. So in this context, it means that there should be the legal enforcement agencies that they should keep trace or reporting this in an official way to Facebook, because they need official request to even to give back the data to the legal enforcement agency. They cannot give without an authorization and without some decision from the court, and so it's even a long process that of getting the data back from Facebook to the legal enforcement agency. And I cannot say too much about the way of working between the individual, the users of Facebook and Facebook itself. So. It's something that Facebook has her own policy of how it's dealing with its users, let's say. Yeah.
Thank you. Have you spoken to the social media companies about the project that you're doing and what's the feedback they get or the challenges you see in working with them?
Not directly with the social networks, but as I mentioned, we are collaborating with some legal enforcement agency because the scope of this solution is to help them to prevent and detect crime, providing a system that providing this kind of system. So our collaboration with the legal enforcement agency, and based on the data that they get from these social networks, we want to adapt this system to make it as a smart system for them. But still, as I mentioned, much of work is to be done.
Do you have a way of dealing with people with very common names? So if someone's name is so common, there are thousands of profiles which match it.
Yes, but as I mentioned, there's in the classes here, you can see that there's a criminal profile. So they have some data of crime, they have some criminal profiles, and they try to make links with the social profiles that they have. For sure that there are many people with the same social profiles, and there's another challenge that they have to manipulate the data and to find out which is the person that they are looking for, and this is not an easy process. Yeah.
Any more questions? No. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you to you.